Shame on the Democrats for even believing that the Republicans will, even vote on it. There's no guarantee in this New Deal that there's going to be a vote. There's no even commitment to have a vote. So the bottom line is the Democrats went into this after a blue wave out of the American people saying, we do want the opposition. The working people want the Democratic Party to fight for them. And now they just caved and surrendered. I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over. If he cannot keep his caucus together, he needs to go.
Chaos erupted on The View when the hosts clashed over the Democrats' latest attempt to reopen the government. The DNC's newest blunder blindsided everyone and exposed deep cracks in the party. Some Democrats are now turning on their own leadership, calling the move a blatant betrayal. Sunny Hostin ended up right in the center of the storm, cornered and frustrated as her co-hosts pushed back against her fiery take on the DNC. The back and forth got so intense it felt like the set needed emergency cooling.
Well, I've been saying from the outset, I don't think anyone wins in a government shutdown, and I welcome this deal. And let me tell you why. So the fight over extending the Obamacare subsidies is about addressing 22 million Americans who are going to see their healthcare premiums skyrocket. I believe that's important. I'm with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm with Mike Lawler and a number of Republicans who believe we have to extend those for at least a year. However, in the interim, while the government remains shut down, 42 million people are losing SNAP benefits ahead of the holidays. So to me, we've got to hold out for those 22 million whose premiums are going to go up, but deny these people SNAP benefits in the meantime. That math doesn't math for me.
Alyssa Griffin, as expected, came in strong defending her belief that reopening the government was the right call for the Democrats. And honestly, no one should be shocked. Her political lean is no mystery, so her defense wasn't some surprise twist. But here's where it gets interesting. She actually made a solid point. Why should 42 million Americans be pushed deeper into hardship just to make a political statement involving 22 million others? The numbers don't line up, and neither does the morality. Whether people support her argument or not, Alyssa forced everyone to look at an uncomfortable reality. Political pride can carry a cost ordinary families can't afford. Sunny, of course, wasn't having it and fired back without hesitation.
And finally, Democrats are going to look like losers if they're just attacking each other in this. For some reason, Marjorie Taylor Greene was better at messaging the stakes of this shutdown, it feels like, than a lot of Democrats were. You have to give people the benefits they are entitled to under SNAP. You have to address the underlying issues of the crisis of healthcare in this country, but get government back working. No one can get anywhere. Flights aren't flying. The holidays are coming.
Yeah.
This is a welcome decision in my mind.
Okay. Look, let's be clear. The Republicans run the House. The Republicans run the Senate. The Republicans run the White House. The Republicans run the Supreme Court, as far as I'm concerned. This was a choice by Republicans to cut SNAP benefits. This was a choice by Republicans to cut ACA subsidies. This was a choice by the Republicans to gut the federal government and federal employment. Democrats had nothing to do.
And this is where the real tension kicked in. Democrats drove the Affordable Care Act with confidence, insisting it would open the door to better and more affordable health care for everyone. That was the mission. Republicans pushed back hard, saying the bill included controversial funding that crossed their lines. So they refused to agree. What followed was a brutal 41-day shutdown that hit millions of Americans where it hurt. SNAP benefits were slashed, and more than 40 million people, including families and seniors, were caught in the mess. After all that, Democrats eventually reopened the government with nothing major won. Yet Sunny Hostin went on air putting the blame squarely on Republicans. After everything that unfolded, that argument is a hard sell.
Want an opposition party. I think the Democrats caved. I think the Democrats let down the American people. And like you, Whoopi, I have absolutely no faith that the Republican Party will come to the negotiating table in good faith. You know, you do something like this, shame on you the first time. You do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, shame on me. Shame on the Democrats for even believing that the Republicans will, even vote on it. There's no guarantee in this New Deal that there's going to be a vote. There's no even commitment to have a vote. So the bottom line is the Democrats went into this after a blue wave out of the American people saying, we do want the opposition. The working people want the Democratic Party to fight for them. And now they just caved and surrendered. I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over.
And here's the twist. I actually agree with Sonny Holton this time, which doesn't happen often. The Democrats had momentum on their side after riding a blue wave and picking up major victories across several states. They had the energy, the support of the working class, and the Republicans on the defensive with no clear plan. It was the ideal moment to solidify their gains and show real strength. But somehow they managed to trip over themselves. Instead of using their leverage, they walked straight into another unnecessary setback. By reopening the government without any meaningful concessions, they gave Republicans exactly what they wanted. It's hard to understand how they managed to fumble a moment that was already working in their favor.
He cannot keep his caucus together. He needs to go. He needs to be bigger.
I completely disagree with you, Sonny, for this reason, what you rattled off. The Republicans run the executive branch, the legislative, the judicial, according to you. They have all the power right now. The problem here is it's a privilege to say our food's not affected, our health insurance,
there are people in my family that receive SNAP benefits.
I'm not just saying, I'm not meaning family. We're all affected by, as we go out. But I'm saying right here to say it's a privilege that they don't have health care and now they don't have food. The people are struggling so much. Our food banks all week in our towns were at the food banks. We were delivering nonstop and we kept getting notifications. They're empty again. They're empty again. Opposition, people can vote in a blue wave and say, but opposition, when you have no power, is not helping us.
And that's the issue with Sunny Hostin here. She talks about principles and party unity from a place far removed from the people suffering the consequences. Her position feels disconnected from the reality faced by families trying to navigate SNAP cuts. She's not the parent stretching every dollar to make groceries last. Yet she suggested Chuck Schumer should have rallied Democrats to vote against reopening the government. As if extending the shutdown wouldn't bring even more hardship to millions already on the edge. It's easy to talk strategy when you're not the one hurting. Sunny's argument might look admirable on paper, but in practice it shows how distant she is from the struggles her party claims to represent.
Because with Donald Trump, the cruelty is the point. He does not care. This is a Republican choice. The last thing that I'll say about the federal workers, there's a 2019 law that requires the federal government to pay federal workers.
You must. It's the law.
It's the law. So the fact that the Democrats traded in their vote to get federal workers working again is ludicrous. Let the courts do their job.
No, it's to get SNAP benefits. People can't eat. People can't afford the holidays.
Well,
it's the right thing. People shouldn't be starving.
And that's what happens when people operate inside a bubble, unaware of the pressure everyday Americans endure. When families are deciding between rent and groceries, political games mean nothing. That disconnect has been a major reason the Democrats lost power. For years they overlooked bread and butter issues while getting wrapped up in ideological debates and cultural battles that didn't help struggling households. While the economy wavered, they focused on symbolic victories. Now it looks like the party is trying to shift back toward addressing real needs. But for commentators like Sonny Holton, practical solutions never seem to be enough. They prefer moral posturing over results even when people are hurting.
Explain this to me like I eat with my feet. Why?
How do you explain, though, to your constituents why it was worth it to put up this fight for so long when in the end you did not get your key demand?
Jon Stewart found himself in the same puzzled space as Sonny Holton. He couldn't understand why the DNC folded without securing their demands. To him, the party gave up leverage they still needed. Stewart questioned the reasoning behind the decision. What pushed them to reopen the government while negotiations were incomplete? Was it strategy, internal pressure, or just exhaustion? His confusion led him to directly challenge the DNC's thinking. So the best step now is to hear what they had to say before diving into Stewart's unfiltered reaction, which is worth watching.
Because it wasn't working.
And here's the part people might not expect. I actually agree with the DNC this time. When a strategy clearly isn't working, doubling down only hurts the people already struggling. At some point you have to recognize the damage and pull back. Keeping the government closed for the sake of proving a point doesn't help low-income families or SNAP recipients. But someone like Jon Stewart won't always see it that way. He approaches politics from a place of ideals, not practicality. Leadership sometimes requires knowing when to step back instead of fighting until everything breaks. Stewart's reaction says a lot about the gap between political theory and real-world consequences.
How are we being ruled by the only old people who don't stubbornly stubbornly cling to shit whether it's working or not. That's the whole point of being an old person.
Exactly. Stewart's reaction centered on how the move looked politically, not how it affected people losing SNAP benefits. This happens constantly. The conversation becomes about optics rather than empathy. There's outrage, dramatic speeches, and passionate commentary until it's time to address the hunger crisis in people's neighborhoods. Then suddenly the energy disappears. Ironic. These same commentators speak loudly about injustice around the world, yet ignore the families struggling to eat at home. Talking about compassion is easy on television. Showing compassion in practice takes a different level of commitment.
Never has the gap between this administration and the people it claims to serve been so disgustingly visible than during this shutdown.
And in the end, it all boiled down to political point scoring. Nothing more. Stewart's reaction made it clear he was more concerned with how the shutdown looked than with the people living through it. Millions were dealing with uncertainty while the debate on TV stayed stuck on politics instead of survival.
Americans were finally seeing the gap between how Donald Trump bends reality and actual day-to-day reality. This shutdown has focused America's attention away from his gift for distraction.
Meanwhile, the media's fixation on Trump is back at full strength. For 4 years they analyzed every word he said, mocked him on late-night shows and predicted disaster. And what was the outcome? He got re-elected. Now they're running the same playbook again. Trump's supporters say he's focused on rebuilding the country, improving the economy and restoring confidence in the system. But commentators still paint him as the villain, ignoring anything that doesn't fit their narrative. The outrage looks familiar, and the refusal to acknowledge progress is predictable. The country moves forward whether they approve or not.
Of miracles during the shutdown. The old songs ain't hitting like they used to.
Football fans loudly booed as Trump was shown on the Jumbotron during halftime at the Lions and Commanders game.
All we can do is wish them well in their latest effort to turn voters against Trump. Getting booed isn't unusual for any political figure. Every leader has critics, and Trump has always had a strong divide in public opinion. If you enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe for more content.